the Chicago Tomahawk. I'm Mike. I got my line mate Matt with me. Today, we're going to go over the Blackhawks' last two games, a win over the Devils. That was an 8-5 affair. That was incredible. And the other side of that coin, a 0-4 loss to the Blues. And also some Blackhawks news. It looks like they're getting ready to announce their GM. Looks like the information was leaked today. They're going to announce it tomorrow. Looks like it's going to be Kyle Davidson. Matt has his feelings on it. I have mine. So we're just going to get started. But before we do, be sure to give us a like on Twitter. Hit subscribe so you don't miss out on future podcasts. So, Matt, we got that Devils game, man. That was incredible. They shouldn't have scored 5 goals. I think that it was, the Devils aren't really considered to be offensively, stout, but that wasn't the case. On a bounce back game, actually his first game back for Kevin Lankinen and that 8-5 affair. We got some scoring from Kane, 3 goals and an assist. Nice hat trick, which was freaking awesome. Brandon Hagel also got another hat trick, which is pretty cool. We had 2 hat tricks in the same game. I believe the last time that was done was with Steve Sullivan and Eric Daze.
Whoa. Yep.
If you want to go back. DeBrincat had 3 assists. He had a good game. That's definitely a very different game from him getting the 3 helpers. Seth Jones had 3 assists. Caleb Jones had 2 assists. Ryan Carpenter, 1 goal. Doc had a goal. And Entwistle, Lafferty, and Murphy each had a helper apiece. Notable from the Devils, Jack Hughes had a goal and 2 assists. I think that they're going to need games out of him like that every day because, he's the future of the organization. And to be honest with you, man, he was really noticeable in that game. He was going into corners trying to get pucks out. Looks like that shoulder injury isn't bothering him at all. I thought that he looked good. He had some really good shots on net. I thought he had some pretty creative shots on net, to be honest with you. And Jesper Bratt had 2 goals. Dougie Hamilton got 1 assist. And Damon Severson got 2 assists. But PK Subban, man, I want to talk about this because, this guy is like a tale of 2 cities because he was a pretty respected guy in the NHL pretty much his entire career up until probably last season when he started playing like a scumbag, and that behavior continued on into this year, slew-footing people. Brandon Hagel scores an empty netter and he gets cross-checked into the goal. I don't know what Subban's deal is, man. Do you know anything about this dude where you think that would make him go off the edge?
I have no idea, man. Maybe being traded twice, and I know the first trade to Nashville was pretty heartbreaking for him. I know even Habs fans, I mean, he was like a huge personality there. People loved him and he loved them.
Right.
That was probably pretty hard for him, and then he was still a pretty decent player. I didn't notice him being dirty in Nashville, but ever since he went to New Jersey, man, I don't know what. Maybe it's the Scott Stevens jersey curse or whatever.
Could be the dirty air.
Being a defenseman, yeah, he's just been like slew-footing guys. Just it's like he's trying to hurt guys, and
right.
That's not him at all.
Right.
And I posted something. I really like PK. I've always have, and he's, his charity work. It's just a cool personality, and it's good for the sport. And I just don't get why he's playing like a goon. I don't.
To be honest with you, man, I think that the only guy that they have on defense there is Dougie Hamilton that's really doing something there. I don't see, obviously offensively, I think that they have a team that is young and is growing and could possibly be a playoff team one day. But defensively, do you see this team as, anywhere near that?
No, and the goaltending is pretty bad too. And that's 2 things that you need to be successful. I mean, you could score all the goals in the world, but if you don't keep them out of your net, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So, I was impressed with Jack Hughes too. Like you were saying, he was pretty creative, and he does look a lot different than his first like 2 seasons, I would say. And maybe it was because of the COVID, and maybe it was because, he's new. It's different being on a national team, U.S. national team, and taking the jump right to the NHL. But I know they paid him that big money, and the way he's playing, it might actually look like a good signing, because maybe if he held out a little bit longer and put up better numbers, he could have got more. But at first, we both joke about it, like $8 million for a guy with 60 points. Jeez, but I mean, if he could stay healthy and play the way he is, that might be a steal for the Devils.
I mean, to be honest with you, we're talking about 60 points in 3 years.
Yeah, and not being a difference maker at all. But when he's on the ice now, you know he's on the ice. This guy's, he's making good passes and smart plays, and
good
he's
shots.
He's scoring some good goals, and it's good for the Devils because they've lacked that over the years. They had Taylor Hall a couple seasons ago, and he was a big difference maker, and it kind of fell off a little bit. But other than that, who's the last Devil that was like really exciting? Maybe Zach Parise, early Zach Parise. That was a long time ago.
Yeah, it was.
So I mean, it's taken them a while, but maybe they found their main piece now.
It almost seems like they're trying to take a page out of, the Islanders book by having essentially, yeah, sure, Nico Hershiser is a pretty talented kid, but he's not Jack Hughes.
No.
Like, it seems like it'll be the Jack Hughes show there in New Jersey, and maybe they're going for like the 1-star type of thing with some help, with some guys who can help out, and because that's what the Islanders did. Obviously, it's not working out this year, but
with Barzal,
yeah, but it looks like he's having a bad year. We can get into that if you want to in a second, but I think the Devils need a lot more if they want to be competitive.
Yeah, I agree. They got to get a solid goalie. I think they thought Mackenzie Blackwood was the guy. I think he's been suffering some injuries and just hasn't been consistent. To be honest, I don't even know who started against us the other night.
It was Gillies.
So many different goalies. Yeah. So there you go. And 8-5. I know Lankinen probably wishes he had a better game, but to be honest, our defense wasn't really playing defense either. It was just more of a back and forth kind of a Wild West shootout going on.
Yeah. It was entertaining, to be honest with you.
Dude, that was fun. That was probably the most fun I had watching a Hawks game this year, just because you see Kane with 2 goals and you're like, oh, I hope he gets that heady. Get Kane the puck. Get Kane the puck. He gets a shot and he missed. And then you think, oh, the open net. And then Hagel gets one. You're like, oh, hopefully Hagel's out, and they pull the goalie again, and it happens. Yeah. It's just cool. It's fun.
Yeah, it was. But it was a different story versus the Blues. The Blackhawks were shut out during that game. And to be honest with you, Marc-Andre Fleury had a good game in that one, but the defense kind of failed him in that one. I would probably say the first half of the game, first period, it was all right. Going into the second period, after the second half of the second period, it was downhill after that. I don't know, like, what the hell happened.
Can you imagine if Fleury wasn't in net?
Yeah.
What the score could have been? That's how good Fleury is.
It was, David Perron had 2 goals. Braden Shen had 2 assists. Pavel Buchnevich had 1 goal, and Jordan Kyrou had 1 goal. Saad was left off of the scoreboard. Thank goodness, because I hate it when ex-Hawks come back and score against
numbers?
the Blackhawks. No, I haven't.
It's pretty solid, man. It looks like he's having a bounce back year.
Oh, that's good for him.
Freaking figures, right?
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah. What his numbers were pretty much the same in Colorado. He didn't see a spike in numbers when he was there last year.
Nah, he was like a top 6, maybe like the 6th guy.
Yeah.
I think he was like close to 20. I think right now he's at 17 or 18 goals. So
okay.
I could see him getting close to 30, but St. Louis is more of a complete grinded out team. They got Tarasenko. Jordan Kyrou is just stealing the show for those guys. I picked him up on fantasy. He's been my best player.
Wow.
I picked him off waivers. That's how good, and no one knew about him. And that he's big difference maker there. And I know they got 2 goalies. They're kind of battling for the starting role now, but I think Binnington has been playing better. I think in the playoffs, though, I would go with Binnington just because he's proven he can win some big games.
Yeah, I think that Brandon Saad, he is what he is. I don't think that it matters who he plays with. Like his numbers are going to stay the same. He played with Patrick Kane. You'll get 20, 25 goals with him.
Yeah.
You play him with McKinnon, he'll get you 20, 25 goals. You put him on a Blues team that needs offense, he'll give you 20, 25 goals. I think that he's a solid player, obviously very good defensively and with a lot of offensive upside. I'm glad that he's having a bounce back year. Buchnevich, obviously coming from New York, I was really surprised with that move last year. I thought that he would have stayed in New York, man.
Yeah, I think they traded Sammy Blaze, I want to say, and you know what? I think the Rangers fans aren't happy with that. A lot of them liked Buchnevich, and
Yeah.
The numbers aren't that great there, but he's still a difference maker on the team. The team is stacked. I mean, the goals they were scoring against the Hawks, they were like tic-tac-toe.
Oh, yeah.
Just beautiful tap-in plays, and it's like you feel bad for Fleury. He's like all the way stretched out trying to make the save desperately, but they still they made it look easy.
You know what, man? Something I noticed on the power play, man, is they had really great puck movement.
Yeah. The analytics, Steve Valiquette goaltending analytics, they call it the Royal Road.
Right.
I saw like 4 passes go across the Royal Road, whatever you want to call it. And I think if you make one pass, the percentages of the goals are like, I think like 95% the goals. They were doing it like twice at times. And it's like, geez, it's crazy.
Right.
Just getting a goalie to move like that. And man, the Blues, like I said, man, they're my kind of like the wild, what do you call it? The dark horse winning the Central. I think they could upset the Avs if they really got solid goaltending from Binnington.
In all honesty, man, I think the Blues can take the Avs.
Right now, the only thing I'm questioning is Binnington, because I know he's kind of fallen down a little bit, but I mean, he shut out the Hawks. It's not saying much. The Hawks are, in transition and everything, but the Avs, he's just got to be better than the other goalie, and their goaltending isn't that great either. But I think if he can do it, they can win maybe in 6.
Well, Colorado's goaltending, there's a question mark there too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm not sold on Kemper either. He's never been there.
Okay. All right. Well, moving on to some Blackhawks news. John Weideman is going to be doing less games on the radio next year. A lot of people are very upset with that. But in hindsight, he's going to be doing a lot more things for the Blackhawks with their content team. So it's not like they're, that he's kind of being thrown to the side. He's getting more of a bigger role, it looks like, in the organization, and he's going to be doing a lot more work with the content team next year. So I'm excited for him. I'm excited for him to, not be relegated to just the radio, but also be taking a bigger role with the organization. Have you heard about that, Matt?
Yeah, I actually heard about it today. And since we brought him in, I've always been a fan of him because like on the way home, I think at the time the Hawks were, they were WGN. They used to be on the Score too, at the beginning of this. And, I like listening to his post-game shows with Troy Murray. They've been together for a long time.
I think it's been 16 years.
Yeah, I'm a little disappointed, but maybe, you know what? Maybe he wants it that way. Maybe, of course, we're all upset. We want a lot of them, 82 games, but maybe he says, "Hey, listen, I can't do it anymore. My age it's getting harder for me or something." So we gotta get the real story and see what I'd be happy if Jason Ross even took that role.
Yeah, because he's been filling in down there as well,
and he sounded great. Sounded great again.
Yeah, he does. Who knows? Maybe John Weideman, they can give him like a post-game show, to be honest with you, with Kaylee Chelios.
Yeah, that could happen. I'm not a big fan of her, but I think she always goes back to Tampa Bay days. Do you ever notice that?
That's usually what people do when they go back to what they know.
Yeah, she would always say, "Well, I compare Braden Point to him." I'm like, "Okay, I don't see that." But I mean, I'm not really a big fan of Chris Chelios. Maybe I'm just being mean. But I saw a comment today saying, we should just hire Kaylee Chelios, and then she can leave next year to the Red Wings, just like her dad. And I lost it, dude. It was hilarious.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, man. I think that she does a pretty decent job. You know, considering the people that they've had on there. Pat Boyle does his thing. Colby Cohen
No, thank you.
He's trying to, keep his job. And
hey, I did like what he said about Subban, though.
I did too.
That was perfect. I was like, dang, man, he's like King Leonidas right now.
Yeah, I know.
He's going Spartan on him.
He's like, it makes me mad.
Yeah, I don't want to kick him into the pit of death.
But yeah, man, I think that she does a pretty decent job. She's not really searching for things, when she's speaking, she has her thoughts already thought out. I think she does a pretty decent job.
Oh, she's very knowledgeable. She is, but I don't know. I think I would just like somebody. I like how they're being diverse about everything, bringing women in. I think that's great. But
sure,
to be honest, I would rather listen to like a Kendall Coyne, who's, I'm not knocking her, but she played hockey. She was in these big brawls with Team Canada, huge games. And I think I'd like to hear what she has to say,
Yeah, she seems to have a warm personality too, and she doesn't look like she lacks for something to say when she's giving the microphone in a good way. Some people, they kind of just talk and talk, but she seems to kind of just get out there and say what she has to say and give insightful commentary when she does. Like when she's in between the boards.
Oh yeah. What's his name? Pierre Maguire.
Yeah,
I like it because she knows, like, she'll see a play happening, and she'll say, "Hey, listen, he had a wide open net. He didn't shoot it, and that's why they didn't score." Just common sense stuff. And I like even Colby Cohen. I thought did a good job because he was a hockey player. He says, "Hey, oh, that guy's got to make that guy's got to make that pass right there. What's he doing?" I mean, that's cool. You're getting a different eye. And then a different voice too at the same time, so it's pretty cool. I think that the Hawks should look for a guy like that.
I'll be honest with you. I think that Colby Cohen's strength is in between the boards there.
Yeah, I thought that game he was great, and he was I think it was Foley and Olczyk, right? We're up in the booth. Yeah, they it's cool. They're joking around with each other, being he's a younger guy, Olczyk's older, and they're kind of. He's making fun of him for being older. He's making fun of him for being younger. It's cool. It keeps the fans kind of in the middle of it, with entertain, laughing and stuff.
Back in my day.
Yeah, back in my day, I had a teleprompter and blah, blah. And I got to get my crayon out. That's Olczyk's line. I got to get my crayon, You know
what, man? Him and, say what you may, but him and Pat Foley have great chemistry together.
Yeah, they're just brothers, man. They get along. You can just tell, like, they probably hang out all the time.
Yeah, I like, I love hearing them when they call a game, man, because I mean they just the stuff they say, man, I think is really, really funny, and it adds. I don't know. I like it.
I like it, but at times it's just like, oh my God, you guys need to just get a room together. You know what I mean? Like, it's like tree. That's it.
With 100 seconds left in the game.
For the rest of the period, they're just how Foley laughs, he'll get that laugh like that the rest of the period. Oh God, dude.
So the Blackhawks are on the verge of announcing their next GM, which all rumors are pointing at Kyle Davidson. It's pretty much his job. They had about 6 candidates that they interviewed. Kyle Davidson is the number one guy. Apparently, I think it was Greenberg that they interviewed from the Cubs. He said he interviewed very, very well, that he had some really, really great insight and ideas for the GM role, but they're looking to give it to Davidson, man, to Kyle Davidson. Why don't you go first on what you think about it, and then I'll go.
Well, I'm not thrilled about it. But I mean, you got to give the guy a chance, I guess. I just think that this interview process was pointless if you knew this was your guy from the beginning. They just wasted more time. My choice out of the 3, I guess, the final 3 was Matthew Darsh from Tampa, just because his winning, I mean, the last 2 years have been pretty successful. The years even before were good. And I think that team is complete. And I think he probably learned a lot down there with drafting, defensemen, goaltending. The goaltending has been amazing. The defensive prospects, Sergachev, Hedman, they're developing guys, and I just don't know with Davidson. I think he's been around Bowman a little too long, and I'm hearing the Bowman 2.0 type of thing. I hope to God it's not, but it's kind of a hard situation regardless of who is going to get the job. You're starting next year with no first round pick. I mean, this could change. He could maybe acquire one at the deadline. It's going to be awful hard. I don't. And I mean, you got Kane and Taves. That's 21 million with their contracts. Then you got Seth Jones, 9.5 kicking in. So right there, you got $30 million with 3 players. Taves he's getting up there, and he's having some injury problems. His cap hit is absolutely hurting the team. I mean, I don't see them moving him. I don't blame him. He's put his heart into this team. He deserves it. But it's going to be a tough situation for him. He doesn't really have many pieces to move to bring value back in. We have one really, I'd say, promising prospect with Reichel. The rest of them are just kind of, I think Ian Mitchell could be a difference maker. The way he's been playing this year in Rockford, he's been very good. But other than that, I just don't see a lot of guys coming up to take some roles coming in.
I think that I'm just really excited that we're getting this out of the way. I'm happy that we're going to have a GM, and we're going to be getting closer to naming a full-time head coach, because Derek King has the interim next to his name. And to be honest with you, Kyle Davidson and Derek King are in very similar circumstances in their respective jobs. You've got Derek King that's been thrown into essentially a spiraling team organization when he started. I mean, what was the team? 0-9, 0-11, and they expect this guy to bring the team back to make the playoffs from a guy who hasn't coached in the NHL. That's a pretty tall order for anybody to do. If you put John Cooper in there and their team is 11, they're 11 down, and you've got a team that is looking for an identity, he couldn't do that, man. So I think Derek King was thrown into a bad situation. I'd like to see him get an opportunity to start from the beginning, have a camp, maybe get to know the guys a little bit better, and see what he can do. On the other side of that, we've got Kyle Davidson, who is, a lot of people say that he's a Bowman guy. He started he started working with Bowman in 2019. So I think that Bowman definitely has that he's got some experience with him, but I don't know if I would call him like a Bowman guy. If he had been working for him for like 10 years, as an assistant GM, then I would definitely say that this guy might be a little tainted. Who knows? But I mean, hey, I'd like to give him an opportunity. He's young. I'm sure he's got some good ideas. Brian Campbell is somebody that he's worked with. Brian Campbell's working in the business operations department, and he's assisted with various marketing, community relations, and youth hockey initiatives. I can see that maybe Davidson gives him a promotion. He might be Davidson's right-hand man. He'll have a hockey guy, and Davidson is an analytics guy, man, and that could be a good pairing, to be honest with you. I'm going to say that I like the pick because the guy knows what it's like to be in the organization, knows what it's like to be during the glory days. He's seen, possibly what's gone wrong in the organization, and has an opportunity to make some changes, and more importantly, be a part of that change moving forward, and bring this team back to respectability. To be honest with you.
Yeah, that's well said. I hope so too. And as for Brian Campbell, I've told you a couple times, I've gone to a couple Wolves games versus the Ice Hogs, and every time I've gone, I've seen Brian Campbell in the building. So I think he was actually with the GM of Rockford maybe learning some things.
Mm.
At times I thought maybe the Hawks are going to give this guy a look as a GM role.
Mm-hmm.
But my father-in-law is, he knows a lot of people in the hockey world. He actually introduced me. I'm just drawing a blank on his name, the GM of Rockford. But I got to meet Brian Campbell at the All-State, and I was like, cool, man. This guy's got he's got cool gym shoes on and an NHL like blazer type of thing. It was pretty cool, like an NHL PA.
Mm.
And me and my father-in-law were talking. I'm like, do you think the Hawks are going to try to maybe make him like a GM one day? He goes, he could be following this guy around to, just learning in the minors first, like what the process of trades are, negotiating with agents and all that stuff. So I could see it happening, man. I would be perfectly okay with Brian Campbell being an advisor to Davidson because he's a very smart, bright guy.
Yeah, me too. And to be honest with you, that's kind of the thing that kind of throws me into the Team Davidson camp because I like Brian Campbell. I think that he was a great player. I think he understands what it means to be a good player, to be treated fairly in the NHL. And if he's moving up the ranks in the front office, I'm all for it 100%. And I'm going to double down on exactly what you said. If he's following around the GM of the Ice Hawks, man, that's it's a perfect situation because, Matt, are you going to have me, do a, asphalt a parking lot, a small parking lot, or are you going to have me do the United Center parking lot? Do you know what I mean? You're not going to just send somebody out there into the big game first. You got to, put some training wheels on them.
Yeah, put them on a driveway.
Yeah. Yeah. You get the gist.
I got it.
So you got anything else, man?
No, I'm kind of hoping the Hawks, like maybe Wirtz after. I'm sure Danny will be there. I'm hoping his next job will be all right. Now we are going to be looking for a president of hockey ops. I think that would be a huge, like a step in the right direction. I think.
Yeah.
Make Davidson one role. We don't want him to worry about everything else like Bowman did. I think that was a problem. He couldn't take it. We let Davidson focus on building his team, and then hire a Berkey guy like the Penguins did. Brian Burke as the president, dealing with all the financial crap with agents and all that, and let Hextall build his team. I'm hoping. I think Eddie Olczyk would be perfect at that role. Well, I really do.
From what I've heard from Danny is that that's exactly what he's going to do. That I believe that he's going to have Davidson report to him directly and have the president report to him directly so that it's not like an upwards thing, kind of like on how it was with Bowman.
Yeah, and
I'm sorry,
like
Bowman
that.
And McDonough.
Yes, I like that. No, like Davidson could go up, let's just make an example. In the summer, July 1st, free agency day. I'm going to pick one free agent out there. It's, say, David Perron. I know it would never happen. It wouldn't make sense, but Davidson's going, you know what, Eddie? I'm going to offer him a 4-year deal, like $6 million. And Eddie's like, are you out of your freaking mind? This guy, he's good, but like, why? What? How is he going to help our team? We're transitioning. We're not going for a Stanley Cup. There's no way we're going for a Stanley Cup this year. We're building our team. We're going to do it right. And okay, I like just the communication they would have. I think Bowman, the Seth Jones trade, I think we gave up a little too much. We both know that. They gave up a first-round pick. But who is going to go against Bowman? He's his own boss.
Right.
He's got too many. No, I'm going to give up 2 first-round picks. It doesn't matter. Seth Jones is worth it. And maybe he was, but this is hurting us not having a pick coming in this next draft, especially with how bad we are record-wise. I mean, the team's okay, but I mean, judging by the wins and points, we're really not that good. So having a first-round pick this year would be huge. If Davidson can nail that, I'm not going to change my mind. I'm not happy about him being the GM, but I'd be like, well, all right, this guy's got some balls. All right, let's see what he's got,
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny, man, because, the Blackhawks can be competitive against some top teams. And actually, if you really want to think about it, look at how competitive they can be with the Avs, but they aren't with the Blues. And that's another reason going back to why I think the Blues can beat the Avs. I think the Hawks are a good team and they can play well. They just can't finish off a game. And I think that has something to do with it could be a talent thing. It could be a preparation thing where they, King didn't get a camp with everybody. All of these guys, they didn't get a good summer of training in to, and knowing who their coach was going to be. I mean, they knew it was going to be Colliton, but everybody knew where that was going. That was headed off of a bridge.
I know. That's something I don't get to. I mean, how can you let a guy just continuously make the same mistake for 9 straight games? Without a win. I mean, like, Bowman, really, dude? Like, I don't think Bowman cared about hockey with the other stuff going on. He stopped caring, and it really hurt the Hawks. It's really hurting us.
Yeah, he could feel the heat.
Yeah, he's like, oh, you know what? I'm not worried about that right now. I gotta worry about my own ass. But I mean, Colliton, like, he would not change anything. It's like doing the same thing over and over again. It's like, dude, it's not working. We cannot play this way. Well,
he coached Team Canada. They got bounced in the quarters, didn't they?
And I know he was taking over the head coach role for a while. I think Claude Julien had some illness or something. But
yeah, he did. He was the head coach of Team Canada.
Are we missing something? Like, I mean, what's going on? There's some good coaches out there. Like, what, were they saying no? Maybe it was, nah, we don't want to deal with COVID junk. We'll ask Colliton. Of course, Colliton wants to get back in the game. I don't blame him, but I mean, how are these clubs not seeing that if they're really going to interview this guy? Like, jeez.
Yeah, I don't know, man. So, all right, everybody, that's all that we got for you tonight. We got another one coming for you on Friday. We're going to, Matt, why don't you check to see if it's been named 100% Davidson's been named the GM?
Nothing yet, but all of the beat writers that Charlie Modus guy, he's an insider with the Hawks. He's got all the he says it's expected to be announced tomorrow. So if he's saying that, that's a pretty good sign that it's true.
That could be funny if they just do a complete 180 and name somebody else.
It's like, hey, everybody, we're just kidding. Mike Milbury will be our next GM.
Oh my gosh, man. That'd be worse than Ken Holland.
Yeah, I would just quit. I'd buy a Red Wing jersey tomorrow.
Oh my gosh. And then put Chelios' name and numbers on it?
I still hate him.
All right, everybody, that's all we got for you tonight. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you on the next one. This is the Tomahawk, and we're out of here.